Welcome to the Breakdown with INFB. I'm your host, Heidi Gant. On this month's episode, we're giving you a sneak peek into some of the topics that will be discussed at the Indiana Ag Gathering, formerly known as State Convention, proudly presented by Indiana Farm Bureau. This is an event where farmers, ag professionals, and industry leaders come together in celebration of Indiana's rich farming heritage and explore the future of agriculture in our state. The Indiana Ag Gathering will take place on December 12th and 13th in French Lick. However, if you want a preview of our keynote speaker or you just aren't able to attend and want an idea of what will be covered, you're in luck today. Today, we're talking to our 2025 keynote speaker, Damon West, who has an inspiring story for our members. So, Damon, welcome to the podcast today.
Heidi, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited about our event coming up next week. And it is just like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I'm so excited about this opportunity to share a little bit before and try to make some excitement for our event.
I love it. Thanks so much. So, Damon, you're a best-selling author, speaker, philanthropist, college professor. That's a lot of impressive titles, but why don't we start with your story and how you got there? So it sounds like your younger life, you had a pretty impressive career, but the story that you tell really starts a little bit before that and with a college injury. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's good because I'm a storyteller, Heidi, and I believe human beings have always learned from storytellers, right? Lessons, morals, principles, entertainment. It's all come at the feet of very good storytellers. And I'm of the belief that a good story will have certain elements, right? Like a good story, like we love stories in America about the underdog journey. We love a good comeback story, right? Because when the underdog wins, we win. We love stories that have an element of sports. I think sports is really the thing that brings us all together in this country, Heidi. I mean, it's sports is really our great uniter. But what we really love is true crime and prison stories. And if we can find a story that weaves all those things in together, we're in, right? We're all locked in. That's why these true crime podcasts are so big out there because, it opens up, it pulls back the curtain a little bit on a world that we don't want to go into, but we want to be a voyeur at from a safe distance. That's what the story is. Like in my life, all these elements are into play. Like college football. I played Division I college football at the University of North Texas. I was a starting quarterback on a Division I team at 20 years old. Life was going great. I thought I had the world by the tail, but I had a career and an injury when I was 20 years old. My college football career was over, and I lost sight of like my goals in life because my identity was wrapped up in being a football player. And sometimes this happens to people in life. We wrap our identities up into something external. It's a very dangerous practice to do, right? Because we're not defined by our jobs, by our income, by our house. We're defined by who we are on the inside. But I didn't understand that at the time. And I turned to drugs and alcohol to deaden that pain. And eventually those addictions took form in the way of methamphetamines. And it was, years later after college football, I tried meth for the first time. And after I did that, I lost everything. I gave everything away, to be honest with you, because that's what drug addicts do. And after I went from having a life of all these opportunities, I was a homeless drug addict living on the streets of Dallas, and I became a criminal. And I started breaking into people's homes. And this is a serious crime. Even though no one was ever home during these burglaries, when I broke into people's houses, I didn't just steal their property, I stole their sense of security.
Mm.
And that comes with a price. And the Dallas SWAT team was the one that enacted that price on me. And in 2009, in 2008, Dallas SWAT took me down. In 2009, I went to trial for organized crime in Dallas and was sentenced to life in prison. First felony conviction ever. And it was in between that window of time in Dallas County Jail and when I got sent to prison in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice that I ran into a gentleman in Dallas County Jail that shared with me one of the most important and transformational messages I've ever received. It was a story in the mesh of the coffee bean. He said, imagine prison as a pot of boiling water, and you have three choices how to respond in a pot of boiling water. You can be like a carrot that goes in hard but becomes softened by the water. You can be like the egg that goes in with a soft inside, but inside that pot of boiling water, the egg becomes hardened. Or you can be like a coffee bean that changes the water to coffee. And that's what he said you need to try to be the coffee bean. The coffee bean had the power to change the water around it because the power was inside the coffee bean. And the coffee bean can't even do its job till the water gets the hottest, till the pressure is the highest. And that's what he said. His last words were, be a coffee bean. And Heidi, that's what I did. This story I'm going to tell next week is going to take us through the journey of a level 5 maximum security prison, the highest secure level there is, one of the most dangerous prisons in Texas, one of the most dangerous prisons in America. But it's going to be the story how I didn't just navigate that prison with the mesh of coffee bean. I transformed myself and the world around me with the coffee bean message. So much to the point that after 7 years in prison, the parole board in Texas comes to visit me. And it's not just because I'm up for parole, it's because they want to meet the guy that didn't just change himself, but changed the whole prison around him.
Mm.
And that was their message to me. Go out there in the world and change the world out there the way you changed the world in here. And that happened on November 16th, 2015. So when we meet next week, it'll be exactly 10 years and 1 month since the day that I walked out of prison. And so much has happened in my life in that time. And that's the story I want to share with everybody there. Because I know, farmers, people that are doing agriculture, it's a very difficult time right now. And I believe this story in the mesh of the coffee bean and the way you hear that I've been able to apply to my life, it'll give people the thing that we need more than anything in the world, and that's hope. You have to have hope. Hope is the key ingredient to everything else because if you have no hope, you have nothing. But that's what my story's been able to do to people, no matter what their difficult circumstances are, right? Because you live through a story that if you look at it and you go, man, if he can do it, I can do it, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I hope to convey, Heidi.
Well, and that's a great point that you bring up. I think the reason that we are bringing you to our conference to speak to our members who are mostly farmers, resiliency is the name of the game in agriculture because farmers deal with weather uncertainty, trade uncertainty, a lot of things that they cannot control. Their livelihoods depend on that. And because of that, a lot of mental health issues in
Sure.
agriculture. So what do you hope that people leave your speech? What do you hope that they take from that?
What you just brought up is a great point. Like farming is, from what I understand, and like the groups I've spoken to that deal with farming and agriculture, these are family businesses that have been in their families for generations, right? And one of the pressures I think you hear from a lot of farmers is they don't want to be the person, the generation, the person in the line of their family that lost the family business, right? But what I hope that people take from this is that there's only a few things you really have control over in life. And as long as you focus on those, I think there's four things really, is if you can focus on those four things and give it your best and all that, then you don't have to live with this thing called regret, this resentment that you can create against yourself because resentments are very dangerous territory to get into because a resentment against a person, a place, a group, whatever it is. I mean, like you said, there's weather, there's trade, the tariffs, all these different things that are going on you can't control. You got to be careful not to create resentments around this stuff because a resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Mm,
You know, those resentments eat us up from the inside out because a resentment, usually the person, the place, the thing, whatever you resent, has no idea that you resent it, right? And if they find out, they really don't care. And that's the thing you have to realize is that if you waste time on a resentment, you're not focusing your time and energy on the things you can't control. Like, for example, I think you can control what you think, you can control what you say, you control what you feel, and you can control what you do.
mm,
And when I tell my story, I'll tell the point in my life when I learned those four principles of the things you can't control. I learned that inside of a dungeon, inside of a maximum security level 5 prison. Here's the thing that I've learned about prison too. The hardest prison to do time in is the prison in your mind. I
mm,
meet more people out here in the free world that are locked up than I ever did when I served time in a real prison. Because more people are imprisoned by their thoughts and by their things than by steel bars and barbed wire and concrete combined. And in the prison of your mind, the mental health issues that we're talking about that come from being in the prison of your mind, it's the hardest prison to get out of. It's the toughest place to make parole from. I hope it is my hope and my mission to come into that room and give people this message of hope that can instill that resilient mindset that you're talking about. Because in order for me to transform myself inside of a level 5 prison, it took a lot of resiliency. It took a lot of grit, a lot of determination, a lot of days of me waking up and believing in myself when no one else could believe in me, when I couldn't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I began this journey of building my life back together in a dungeon, and there is no light in the dungeon. But I saw something I believed in, and Growth follows belief, Heidi. You have to believe in yourself before anybody else can believe in you. And the struggles out there in farming and agriculture are real. And I'm not saying this coffee bean message is a magic pill that you can take, but I know that your thinking is critical for whatever you do in life. And if your thinking is off, then everything else will be off. And it's my job to come in there and give people an idea of a new way to think and wrap up storytelling around it. And here's the thing about a good storyteller, Heidi. A good storyteller is going to make the audience feel something. Because when feelings are created, a memory it gets created, right? So it's like the old Maya Angelou quote, right? People don't always remember what you say, they don't always remember what you do, but they always remember how you make them feel. And
Hmm.
it's my job to make people feel something from this thing.
Love that. Well, we're excited to hear you and when you come to French Lick. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of your other ventures that you have. Do you want to talk about your philanthropy? You have a Be a Coffee Bean Foundation. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever I was in prison, one of the hardest things to like see, and it was unfortunate I got to see this because I didn't understand anything about prison. I grew up white, middle class, prison wasn't on my bingo card. I didn't know anything about prison, but when I go into a prison and I live there, I'm around all these other men. And all these other men in there have the same exact story. My son or my daughter is going down the same road I'm going down. They're going to come to prison one day. They would tell stories about their fathers and their uncles who all came to prison too. This generational incarceration loop that you see that's happening in America is generational incarceration is real. Or they would tell stories about my son or my daughter wants to be involved in this activity or that activity, but we can't afford that because I'm in prison. And I thought to myself, I'm talking to God when I'm saying this, God, man, if you ever get me out of this place and you give me a platform to do good, that's the population that I'm going to impact. Children of incarcerated parents. Because, a kid can't pick their parents. You don't get that choice in life. You're born into a family, but my thing is like, hey, how do I help out children of incarcerated parents? And so, what the Be a Coffee Bean Foundation does is we have a program called Coffee Bean Cares. And CARES is an acronym cultivating activities and relationships through extracurricular scholarships. So, what the Be a Coffee Bean Foundation does, any child in America that has an incarcerated parent is eligible for up to $2,500 a year for a scholarship for any extracurricular activity they want to do, whether it's like karate, baseball, dance, music lessons, sports, whatever it is. We want to provide those kids with the financial resources to do those things because those kids are behind everybody else because they don't have the resources, and we want to provide that. And that's what we do. When the program really works so, Heidi, the parent that's in prison, whether it's a man or a woman that's in prison, when the program really works, the parent in prison nominates their kid on the outside for the scholarship. Now, when the scholarship is awarded, if they get selected, we notify the parent that's in prison first. And we tell them, hey, this is your opportunity to tell your son or your daughter that you got this scholarship for them. Now we're repairing the parent-child bond that is so broken from incarceration, right?
Yeah.
Parent that's in prison can't provide for a kid that's out there because you can't, I mean, you can't pay for things that are necessary with stuff that you can buy on the prison commissary, soups, coffee, stamps. There's no insurance company that takes those. There's no sports team, no select sports that's going to take that as pay.
Yeah.
But we provide the opportunity for the parent in prison to kind of stick their chest out a little bit and say, hey, look what I was able to do for you. And now when they talk on phone calls and visits and letters, they can talk about this scholarship that the parent in prison got them. Hey, how's dance going? How's karate going? How's that sports going? How's the music lessons going? So it's really this fun program that I've been able to create with this platform I have in life. It's not a big foundation. We have, I don't know, 40 kids, maybe 50 kids in that range that we sponsor every year. But it's like the starfish analogy. This kid walking to the beach throwing starfish back in to the water, and his dad is like, "Look, man, there's thousands of these starfish out there. You can't save them all." But the kid realized he could save those few starfish, and so that's my purpose in life.
Yeah.
The ones that I can help, I try to help. I know I can't help them all, but we get some letters back from some of these kids and their families. It's just incredible what's going on with the foundation. So I can't believe this is my life, Heidi.
That's awesome. And I know you have, did you just have a book come out or you have a book?
Yeah. Six
Okay.
Dimes and a Nickel. It's my most recent book. It's my sixth book.
Okay.
my best book of all the books I've written. It's my entire life story. It's all the principles I live my life by. Think of it as a memoir slash self-help book. So I've been able to combine these two genres I've done really well in. But Six Dimes and a Nickel is prison slang for 65 years, which is what a jury gave me. And in Texas, 65 years is life. So prison terminology, every 10 years is a dime, every 5 years is a nickel. So I got six dimes and a nickel. And that's what the book is titled. It's a very catchy name. But yeah, it's about my whole life story, all the lessons and principles I live my life by. And I mean, it's the best work I've ever done as a storyteller.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear you speak. I hope a lot of our members are too. And I think there's maybe another day or two that people can get registered to come to our conference. So please do that. Damon, you'll be speaking at the Indiana Ag Gathering in the morning on Saturday, December 13th. But if people want to learn more about you or the resources you have available, where should people go for more information about you?
Yeah, my website, damonwest.org, damonwst.org, or any of my social media handles. And you can find me on Instagram and X at Damon West 7.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Damon. Excited to see you in French Lick in just a few short days, and hope to learn a little bit more about your story then.
Oh, I got a lot more to tell. Thanks,
All
Heidi.
right. Thank you. If you enjoyed our conversation today, make sure to subscribe to The Breakdown with INFB and even rate and review us to let us know how we're doing. For more information, visit www.infb.org/podcast.